Cheryl, that's a quorum, right?
Right.
Okay. So we're going to go to YouTube and then start.
Okay, we are now live on YouTube, Sunny. So whenever you and Janine are ready, I guess you guys can go ahead and start.
Sure. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Today is January 20th, 2021. We're here for the Education, Environment, Sustainability Committee meeting at 3 o'clock today, and ask if we can have a roll call, please.
Calling the roll, Ms. Simon.
Here.
Ms. Brown. Ms. Brown is absent at the moment. Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones is absent at the moment. Mr. Shrine.
Here.
Ms. Stevens.
Present.
There is a quorum. Also like the record to reflect that Councilman Miller is in attendance.
Okay, thank you so much. We're gonna, I guess, do we have any public comment?
No, Madam Chair, no one submitted any public comment.
We do have minutes from December 2nd, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Second.
Okay.
Aye.
I want to welcome, I was remiss to welcome Councilman Schron to the committee, back to the committee, who served originally and has a particular interest in education and environment. So thank you for serving on committee. We appreciate you being back. So we have minutes approved, and the minutes reflected the deer management program that is going to be a pilot. And just as an update, that will be it's being looked at ODNR right now to see how they can implement that in the fall of 2021. So we'll keep everybody posted. Thank you for your support with that. But we're going to move on to the legislation, which is before us, and it's, if we can have it read, 2021-0030.
Resolution number 2021-0030, authorizing an amendment to contract number 148 with Child Care Resource Center, doing business as Starting Point, for management and administration of the Family Child Care Home Professional Development System.
Okay, thank you so much. And we have several guests here to speak to this. Do you want to, we have Director Dorman. Can you introduce who's here and give us an overview of the legislation?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Rebecca Dorman from Invest in Children, Office of Early Childhood. So from the Invest in Children staff, we have Kiana Tidmore, Bob Stabe, I think that's it. And from the Starting Point staff, we have the Interim Executive Director, Debbie Fodge, and the Program Manager for Family Child Care Home System, Zipporah McLean. So they're here to back me up in case you have any real tough detailed questions that I will defer to them. Otherwise, I will jump in and do the broad overview of this amendment. So this is a continuation of the family child care system that was established 21 years ago by Invest in Children to improve the quantity and quality of family child care homes in our county. So typically we would have done a 2-year contract that would coincide with the biennial budget of the county. But this year, because there's a significant milestone, this time a significant milestone was approaching in July of 2020, got moved due to the pandemic to the fall, September of this past year. It caused Billy Osborne Fears, who is our, the late great Billy Osborne Fears, who we lost in 2020, who was the executive director of Starting Point, and myself, decided that because of this milestone happening, we wanted to only move forward with a one-year contract. Then we were planning to have a discussion, take stock of where we were before moving on to the second year. So the milestone I'm referring to is the requirement now by the state of Ohio that all child care providers, including family child care homes, must be rated in the state's tiered quality rating system called Step Up to Quality in order to receive any public funding. So for family child care homes, the source of public funding is, for the most part, what we used to call a child care voucher, now we call the child care subsidy. So this is the subsidy that comes from the dollars come from the feds that go to the state, that's then distributed to low and moderate income working families to assist them with affording childcare. So because this decision was made by the state that they only want public dollars to go to pay for a certain level of quality, which at this moment is at least a 1-star. There's a 5-star system. It is moving, by the way. In 5 years, you must be highly rated. That will be our next milestone. But the milestone that did occur in 2020, even in the midst of the pandemic, was that every provider, public school district, center, and family child care home all must be rated in order to get the subsidy. So that is why we didn't know exactly how things were going to work. We hoped that all of the work of Starting Point was going to be successful in supporting homes. These are all, small businesses run by women for the most part, many mostly minority women in our community, that they were going to be successful in entering the Step Up to Quality system. It's not always easy. It's, usual state kinds of bureaucratic things. You have a big application, you have to have certain educational requirements. So I'm pleased to report, though, that Starting Point through this program was incredibly successful. So today there are 453 family child care homes, and 97% are rated in the quality rating system, Step Up to Quality. So that means that we do have a sufficient supply of seats for families with the child care subsidy. So they have a place to take their, take the voucher, as we used to call it. And that was, the big fear was, are we going to have a supply to meet the demand for families? Because many families do prefer family childcare. It's got several advantages. One, it might be just down the street. You may know the person. It could be your neighbor. It's a small group setting, which some children do better in, and you can, have siblings together in a small group, which sometimes also works out better for families. And may have additional shifts of care. So for a lot of reasons, we wanted families to have an adequate supply if that was their choice. And you may use your subsidy anywhere you want, as long as it is now in a Step Up to Quality rated program. So, of course, when we only did that 1-year contract, we didn't anticipate a pandemic. And of course, couldn't have anticipated the sudden tragic loss of Billy. So here we are, and the decision was made for all of these reasons. This was a time where we should, in consultation with certainly Debbie and support at Starting Point, we didn't want to make major changes to the program. They are, of course, have made changes in that they are operating virtually. It's a program that focuses on a lot of one-on-one technical assistance to providers, as well as training. Both are needed to get you into the system, get you rated higher in the system, and help you maintain your rating, not to mention all the other aspects of running a small business. So Starting Point does all that. But we've essentially decided for right now that this is an amendment with pretty much the same structure of the program and the same funding level. I do anticipate Next, as we think about the future, and as a new executive director comes on to lead Starting Point, that perhaps there will be an opportunity then for us to look again as we re-enter the world, so to speak, if there are some changes or tweaks we want to make now that we've gotten through this milestone and need to be planning for the next. I did want to mention that during the pandemic, more than ever, we've seen this component of our mixed delivery system has been essential. When childcare was closed by the governor and you had to obtain a special license, a pandemic license, we had 312 homes. The majority of them did go ahead, apply, and get that pandemic license. So they stayed operating for families through that closure period that was in April and May before the reopening. So I think sometimes they're sort of the stepchild of the childcare system. People don't often recognize what a really crucial role they play, and that they are they are small businesses, and that's there's a lot on each provider, what they have to do to recruit, to bill, to provide a high quality experience to kids. And I'm really, really thrilled that we have this program on Starting Point who provides the kind of support that these worthy child care providers deserve. In fact, I was on a webinar yesterday, a national webinar about the family child care homes. He said we should really be calling them directors. They're all family child care home directors. They're directing their own business. Of course, they have some staff for subs, but they're doing it all. So as I said, what Starting Point does through this contract is helps new providers who are coming online. Currently, there are 70 in the pipeline. They will help them get licensed, help them get rated, help them improve ratings. Once you're in, many providers do want to keep improving and getting to high quality. So they do all of that. To give you a sense, from March to December, Starting Point provided 2,188 technical assistance visits. Obviously, that has been virtual since the pandemic hit. And I thought I would just give you, in the words of two of the family child care directors, how they felt about their work with Starting Point. So first person said, when I began my journey for my first star rating, I was completely overwhelmed. But then I met Rosemary from Starting Point. Her guidance, support, patience, encouragement, and teaching gave me the confidence to not only fully and completely understand, implement, and put into practice these strategies for quality programming, but to reach further to continuous improvement. I took that challenge once again when I applied for my 3 stars. Remember, 3 stars now means high quality, turning back to Starting Point, where Rosemary once again was there for any support needed. And a second provider said, regarding my step up to quality training and requirements, I would like to say my TA, my technical assistant specialist from Starting Point, has done an impeccable job with assisting. The patience she displays and her willingness to always help, no matter the time of day or night, did not go unnoticed and is much appreciated. Any question we had regarding the courses needed, her assistance with signing up for courses, as well as her assistance with anything, was very helpful. Thank you so much for all you do. So that's in the words of 2 of the many hundreds of providers that they're working with. And I will give you one very specific success story. And if you're like me, it's really helpful to hear it. We're so far away from the work that's going on in the community that it really I always ask for a success story to really connect me to the real good work that our lead agencies are doing. So I will tell you about Kenya Hilario, who came to the United States in the summer of 2015 without speaking a word of English. But she learned English by reading books. She was watching a lot of TV. And the one job she thought to do was childcare. So she began by caring for 2 children, not publicly funded. And then in April, She got licensed in April of 2016. So the next year she became a licensed provider. So that's the entry point, you get licensed. In 2017, she enrolled in the Starting Point CDA training class. So the CDA is the Child Development Associate credential. It's again sort of an entry-level credential on the pathway of becoming more trained in early childhood education. That's so a little bit like an STNA if you're thinking of the pathway to becoming an RN. So she then went on and she got her CDA. She got her Step Up to Quality 1-star rating. And now in 2019, she got up to a 3-star rating. And in 2020, she got to 5 stars, which is the highest rating. She's mentoring other Hispanic providers and helping them come through the submission process. She had a bilingual staff person from Starting Point, Nelson, helping her through all this, who gave us the story. So just to give you the sense of the trajectory of someone who can really was able to come from not being licensed all the way to 5-star with support from Starting Point, not to mention being a new immigrant. So as I said, what's our new deadline? We have a new target. In 2025, all providers have to be highly rated to receive public funding. So now the clock's ticking again for the next 5 years. So Starting Point's goal has to be to get all of our providers up to 3 stars at least. And for those who are 3 to 5, to maintain them. And it's not easy. There's continuing education requirements, continuing inspections, and annual reapplications to maintain that rating. So right now there are 277 1- and 2-star providers who will need to get lifted to at least 3 stars to continue to be able to accept publicly funded kids, as I mentioned. So I hope that I've conveyed the kind of journey that some of our family child care directors go on. So they may start as the neighbor down the street, caring for a couple kids. But soon, I think with Starting Point's help, they begin to see themselves as the professionals that they are, develop their business, and continue on the route to really delivering very high quality care. And with that, I'm happy to answer questions or turn it over to my colleagues.
So thank you very much, Director Dorman. That was really interesting, and I'm glad to see that we're making these advancements professionally and be able to support that. So with that being said, any questions from the committee? No questions from committee?
Yeah, I'll
What
ask
about
one.
not? Okay,
Yes,
Councilman.
Madam Chairman, who is the reviewing body that actually is going to award the 5 stars? Maybe I missed that as far as is it an independent third party?
So actually, it's an excellent question. So this change happened within the past 2 years, that actually if you are if you're applying to be either a 1 or 2-star provider, we have a county unit in ODJFS here that goes out. There are about 25 people in that unit. It's totally separate from Invest in Children. They do the awarding of 1 or 2 stars. If it's 3, 4, or 5 stars, you have to apply at a certain level. Then the state sends their own staff people out to do those ratings and inspections.
Okay, so that will be a body coming from Columbus that's completely independent. Okay,
correct.
So that raises the intensity level for anybody being inspected, I assume. Yes,
okay. It does.
Do you do a pre-review before? I know sometimes in business, if we're being audited, we will do a pre-review to make sure we look at and see how they're doing to help guide them so that they get the outside third party.
Absolutely. I think that is a huge part of what Starting Point does. And I might ask either Debbie or maybe Zipporah, do you want to talk about what that looks like as you're preparing them for their application?
My apology, I was on mute. Zipporah, I think you would be the best to respond to that.
Yeah, so definitely the staff, as the providers will call them, their TAs, would be able to go out and help them prepare, help them understand all of the rules and regulations that are part of Step Up to Quality, so that whenever they are receiving that assessment from the county or the state, that they are prepared, they know what to expect. All of the documentation is in place.
Zipporah, can you give an idea also of like what's in the application itself before they push the button, which I know is a big thing, pushing the button?
Yeah, so there are 4 domains that we look at, which would include the business side of things. We tell them that you have to put your business hat on as the entrepreneur. We have to look at specific education and qualifications aspect, and then as well as with their staff, if there are any staff there. And then we also have to look at the area of learning and development for the children. So we're looking at, how their classroom is set up with their environment, the curriculums that they're using or researching to use. We're looking at early developmental screening, as well as assessments, that type of thing, as well as the other domain would be family engagement. So how they're working with the families, how they're keeping the parents engaged, how they're communicating with parents. So those are all the 4 domains that we help them with as far as preparing for documentation. And then once they're, whatever rating that they're desiring, once we feel like all of that documentation is in place, then they have to go onto the Ohio Child Care Licensing System. And that becomes another challenge because of with the technology and helping them, they have to make sure that all of their documents are in electronic form to be uploaded in the online application process. And then it goes through a virtual or remote desk review. That's the first portion. And then once that desk review has been completed and it's satisfactory, then in normal conditions, they would prepare for an on-site assessment. But now only the 3 stars and higher are continuing to get those on-site assessments. 1 and 2 star programs seeking 1 or 2 stars have to get what we call the extended desk review, which is all virtual assessment. And then if they satisfactorily meet, those 2 assessment desk review.
We lost you.
Okay, we lost her, I guess.
We lost
Sorry.
you. We
Okay.
lost you, Zipporah. But I think you've heard most of the story.
You did. So does it answer most of your question, Councilman Schron, about the process?
Well, then the businessman then comes into me and says, Rebecca, then what happens if 5 stars is going to be the new standard? What happens if a group that we're depending upon does not meet that? Do we have the assets to be able to cover those children? Should we have I can only assume that everybody's not going to get to 5 star. Otherwise, if it's so easy, then that wouldn't be a standard. So there's going to be people who are not going to get there. Do we have the backup to make sure that those children are not left without a service provider out there? And how's that going to work?
So one slight modification. So 3 stars is considered high quality, 3, 4, or 5. So
Okay.
Other than making sure that there is an adequate supply somewhere. So of course we have the same challenge with centers. That's a different contract. All the centers have to also get to high quality. Really, there's no other option. We have to do it. And I think everyone in the early childhood field thinks this is the right thing to do, that public dollars should be supporting high quality care, especially because these are from kids sometimes from the most disadvantaged families. That even more so, we need to make sure they're getting quality. And as a taxpayer, we want to be paying for quality. So I think we're optimistic. Quite honestly, I was surprised that this many homes made it into the system. I was delighted, and I think it does speak to the hard work of Starting Point. So we have 5 years to figure it out, but we've got to figure it out because there really are no other options.
Well, under your leadership, I'm sure we'll get there.
Oh,
Thank
well, thank you. It's a lot of hard work from a lot of people at Starting Point to get there. And it's a lot of hand-holding, and it's a lot of having to see yourself as a professional. That's what I've heard. And the trepidation of like hitting that button, people are very nervous, and you're by yourself out there. It's not like you're part of a larger organization, and for the big bad state system that you're having to deal with. So I really take my hat off to everyone that we are in such a good place right now.
But as you said, the children need it. They need excellent service.
Yes.
So it's okay to have tough love and tell them they got to move their standards up to 3, 4, or 5 stars.
Absolutely. Really, the Ohio Business Roundtable was one of the real movers and shakers in Columbus under Governor Kasich to get this into statute. They felt very strongly that public dollars should be invested wisely. So it really was the business community in large part that pushed this. I mean, although we were all on board too, but it was sometimes you need more than early childhood people at the table.
Right. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you so
Madam-
much. And I want to just let the record reflect, we have Councilwoman Brown joined us early on. So she's been here for the discussion. Any questions from committee or non-committee members?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Miller?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one question to Ms. Dorman. Are the child care slots that we have in these family homes considered part of the 4,000 to 4,600 high-quality child care slots that we frequently talk about? And if so, how many?
Yes, and I realize that I totally skipped the map that we have too, so I'm going to ask Bob in a minute to put up the map. So Bob, this is your warning. In our universal pre-kindergarten system, we have 2 family child care homes right now. Both are 5 stars. So only those 12 slots. So a type B family child care home, which is what most of these homes are, can have care for up to 6 children. A type A can have up to 12 children. Bob, can you throw the map up? We did a geocoded map which shows all of the homes in your each council district, so you'll get a sense of where these homes are located. Okay, so these are the type A's. There are only, there are only 27 of them. These are the homes that have 12 kids in them, and can you, Bob, can you make that full screen? Can you go to the slideshow version of that so you can see it a little bigger?
If you're on an iPad, you can do it, Rebecca. Just grab it. And
Oh, can I? Oh, okay.
if you have an iPad, you can just grab it.
No, I'm not. Yeah, no. No, just Bob up top where it says slideshow. Can you click on that? Up. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, okay. Oh, there, I think it's a little easier to see now. So the blue dots are the high quality, meaning 3 to 5 star. Again, these are just the type A's, and then you see where the lower quality 1, 2, and then we have some unrated so far. They might, and then Bob, can you toss up the other map with the type B's? So these, as you see, They're, again, the blue dots show you high quality, the orange is the lower, and then the unrated. So there are 426 of these. Again, they're each caring for up to 6 children, and they have mixed age groups. So they may have 2 babies, 2 toddlers, and 2 preschoolers, or they could, one of our UPK 5-star home, she has all preschoolers, 6 preschoolers. Both of our UPK family child care homes are in Cleveland Heights. So that gives you a sense. So they're, you know, more focused, obviously, city of Cleveland and inner ring suburbs. Again, this is our regulated system. You can still care for up to 6 children without a license and without being regulated, as long as you've got all private pay kids. So you may, know people who've got their kids being cared for in a home, but it's an unregulated home, and in Ohio that's legal. But you can't go past 6 kids and be unregulated.
Okay.
So, Councilman Miller, did you have any follow-up question to that?
I do not. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Well, it prompted me to remember that we have these maps. So thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're back. Thank you so much. I just have a follow-up, if no one else does, about counterparts throughout the state, similar to Starting Point. What
Yes.
kind of resources do other communities have? And do we have any competitors here in Cuyahoga County?
So Starting Point is our designated resource and referral for this region. There are 4 county region. There are 7 R&Rs, as they're called, in the state. All have gotten there through a competitive RFP process. So right now, actually, I think the RFP, Debbie, was it released for this next round? So Starting Point has to compete and others could compete.
It has not been released yet.
Yeah, so that will be coming. So Starting Point has been the only R&R in our community since the regional system began. Other regions, like in the Stark County area, I know they've had at least one switch of an agency. But Starting Point, I don't think has ever had any real competition in this RFP process. I don't know for sure, but one thing's for sure, they've always been the successful applicant.
Okay.
If that helps. But that's one of the reasons why, even though Starting Point is a private nonprofit, we don't RFP for this role, because they've already been through the RFP process through the state and are designated for this role in our community.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you so much. So any other questions? All right, well, I want to talk about the timing of this. Obviously, we're past the period already. The contract term that we're amending goes into 2021, and we're already there. So I'm wondering if you would like this moved under a recommendation for passage under suspension, Rebecca Dorman.
Thank you so much. That's a very kind offer that we would love to take you up on. Yes, thank you.
Can you tell us why there's been a delay and why this is getting to us now, please?
Well, I think you may be familiar with the ERP system that's we've been all dealing with.
Yeah.
And I would like, actually, if Bob Stabe, can you, Bob, pop yourself on screen, and do you want to say a few words about what this is like? Because Bob is really dealing with this with staff way more than I hear the stories, but I don't know if Bob can you at least talk, Bob? He's in the office, and, we don't have cameras on our computers in the office. You may know that. So, Bob, are you there? No?
Okay.
Well, it's been a challenge, is what I would say. I don't know if anyone else who's dealt with the system specifically. Daniel, do you want to talk about it?
Well, I can, Rebecca, I know you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Is it
it's good.
Daniel? Hi, Daniel.
Dan, do you want to say what it's like working with the system? Did Dan?
Oh, it's tons of fun.
It's what?
I just said it's tons of fun. No, it's
You lost all credibility, Daniel.
no, it's a system that requires a lot of patience with uploading documents into the system. We have to upload a lot of the documents one at a time, rather than being able to upload them in a batch upload form. It can be a little nebulous to use at times. We're able to work through it to the best of our ability to get it out as soon as we can. But it's mostly just it's working with it's trying to work with the system rather than work against it, where it's not exactly as fluid as we'd like it to be at sometimes.
So Dan, along with Marcos Cortez in our office, has spent the last almost 2 months transferring documents from the old system. You have to do it one by one and upload. Right. And then for all of the UPK contracts, then we were amending them. So now they're in the midst of having to do the same process again. Can you say one word about that, Dan?
So we have, with Invest in Children and all of our UPK programs, we have over 60 programs that we're uploading documents for, and several of these, actually all of the programs require uploads that are, we have 28 to 30 documents that we have to upload for each document. So, that's been a major part of my day for the past 2 months is uploading 30 documents, checking it, and then going to the next program and then uploading 30 more documents. And in addition to filling out all of the other requirements for the number of categories of putting in program names and dollar amounts and switching between both the contract management system and the PO20 and the PO64 system. It's tedious, but it takes a lot of time to do all those documents and make sure that we're getting it accurate the first time around and not having to go back and check over and over and over again. So we took our time to make sure that it was as accurate as possible. And those are the things that kind of can contribute to the length of time that it took to get all of them processed.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm sorry that this is happening. So that's my words. That being said, we've got, I think, a decent basis to support a recommendation of this ordinance being moved to the next full council with a recommendation for second readings passage under suspension. Can I have a second?
Second.
Was that Councilwoman Stevens?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so thank you so much. And if you're having issues with that ERP as to the extent to which our council can be helpful to you, please feel free to reach out to us. We understand this is happening and it's not unique, but it's just taking so much time and resources away from the work that you really should be doing. And we appreciate that, Daniel, in particular. Thanks.
Yeah, I really appreciate the staff who are slogging through it. As I said, I just hear the stories. They're the ones in the thick of it. And but the good news is they're almost through the worst of it. So hopefully things will, it's a big accomplishment though.
Yeah, I think we uploaded the last document this morning.
Okay. Good day. It is a good day. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So I'm going to just with some new business, actually, I just wanted to mention that, and maybe Councilman Brown can add to this, but we had the Citizen Advisory Council on Equity come up with recommendations, and there's a subsection regarding education. And this is the council that's addressing our structural racism in the county and inside and out. And with regard to education, there's an acknowledgement that we don't have a lot of jurisdiction over schools or cities, and but we do have some influence, especially with partnerships and looking at things we can do as a county. And I wanted to bring that out. And a lot of it, most of it has to do with broadband and digital C and bulk purchasing and what we can do to support education that way. We obviously have our Invest in Children and everything we do there, which is just huge, huge with this county and unique, I think. But I think we can do more. And so I just wanted to lay that out there. I think maybe at our next meeting, we can maybe bring somebody in from the council and talk about how we can enhance the broadband disparity and our partnerships, and maybe we can actually do better through this committee. So I know that Councilman Brown was instrumental in the creation of this, and I just wanted to ask you if you want to add anything.
No, I just thank you for acknowledging it, and I look forward to the reviewing the presentation and the work that we can do to help eradicate the structural racism, especially as it relates to Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so this council's recommendations are only as good as the implementation. So I want to make sure that we can highlight and spotlight the education aspect of this and really bring it to life. So we'll get a presentation next time and understand that education is the great equalizer, and this county needs to be on top of that and as aggressive as it's been. I mean, we really are unique in that way. So I want to thank everybody for coming to this meeting, and unless anybody has anything else to say, I think we can adjourn.
Yeah, one comment on Monday. There will be a sector partnership update at 3:00 on what was a short version. There's going to be a longer version in the economic development. And one of the items, Madam Chairwoman, is specifically on what you just talked about. The manufacturing sector partnership is creating a scholarship for the African-American community strictly around engineering students that want to get into this, to go into a management track and to move on up. So it will be discussed on Monday. If anybody wants to sign in, I would highly encourage everybody to find the in-depth that's going on within that sector. And the scholarship fund is being created strictly to encourage the African-American community to get involved with engineering so they can be part of the manufacturing community.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it's exciting. It's great. So yeah, it's a great day. So I appreciate everybody who took a minute away from the happenings. So I'm going to adjourn and enjoy your day, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you.